Okay, so may I start?
Sure.
Okay, thank you everybody for being here, and I'm very happy to meet you, even if it's remotely. I'm Céline Jacquin. I'm the senior manager for the hub in LatAm. So this hub is the last one being created at HOT. I think you already know this map I'm showing. You know that HOT has 4 hubs. And I think that in the chronology, it started in Asia Pacific. In Africa, there are 2 hubs, the Eastern and Southern Africa, and West and Northern Africa. And the last one in the chronology is LatAm hub. So it's not created yet. It will be officially created next year at the beginning of the year. But we had an entire year of experimentation. And this hub, it's interesting because it had a sort of different dynamic. It was something we wanted to base much more in the community process, in the co-creation process with the community. That's why we had this something we called alpha phase during this year 2022. So what is the purpose in general of the hubs? I think you already had presentation of the other hubs, but it's to inspire and mobilize an OpenStreetMap movement in the different regions to decentralize the visions, the knowledge, the decision of HOT, and know much more the decision-making stakeholders, the different communities, and also decentralize the resource allocation to the different partners there, and also to empower the growth of OpenStreetMap ecosystem in each country. Creating leadership, being culturally appropriated, it means in the language, but not only, also with the different culture you can have in a same country. Sometimes at a global level, it's difficult to understand that. That's why we need to have a more regional approach and national approach. So this hub in LatAm has been designed intentionally in a flexible way, community-based way, and much more organic until the moment it will be created officially. The different guiding principles of this hub are to serve primarily the community and not HOT, to understand what is the community engagement and what the engagement means for the community itself and for the different communities. So understanding the landscape of the communities and its the diversity of this landscape is very key. And understand how these communities are doing their volunteering, in what are the different style of volunteerism, etc. The HOT global functional teams are there to support the different hubs and not at the opposite. The fourth principle is to guide a movement and to build a movement and to guide it and to strengthen it all the time. And of course, to be in line of with the 9 core values of HOT, which are collaboration, volunteerism, inclusivity, independence of the communities, people first, local first, openness, transparency, innovation, and hacktivism. Hacktivism in the meaning that we want people to co-create, we want people to question all the time, to sometimes deconstruct and reconstruct, etc. So in this hub that we start with the very special dynamics we had during last year, so 2021. I wasn't part of this team, but the team did a large consultation process with different communities in the region to understand firstly, what communities know about HOT, what they think about HOT, and what they would expect about HOT, and also what they would expect about a hub in the region. So it was a first step to understand what should be the place of HOT hub within this region. Then During this consultation, we wanted to generate value around OpenStreetMap's ecosystem, walking through our humanitarian issues. So understanding what's the ecosystem that works in this specific topic of humanitarian and also sustainable development. What do they expect? What are their needs in terms of data, and what are also their philosophy in terms of open data and collaborative data? Also, we wanted to understand how we could catalyze a humanitarian movement in the region. So also at this point, we wanted to hear their vision of that, their expectation of that, and the style they would expect the hub to develop this effort of catalyzation. So these are the synthesis of the result of the consultation. So the consultation has been developed through a large invitation through the entire region, but the countries that participated the most have been Mexico, Colombia, and Costa Rica. So in these countries, firstly, so there was a survey, firstly, and all the region participated, but then different focus groups have been developed, and it was with the participation mostly of Mexico, Costa Rica, and Colombia. So these are in general the results. The first result has been that they would expect the hub to support and promote free maps initiatives in general, to support and help specifically the vulnerable or isolated populations to produce their own maps and to produce their own process of creation of data, use of these data, and use of map to actually have an impact in their specific causes, local causes. They would expect to achieve a greater articulation between the civil society, the academia, and organizations. So not only OpenStreetMap communities, but these different actors of the decision making. Also articulating with the local authorities and civil protection entities in general, Red Cross, governmental civil protection departments, etc., to strengthen, in particular, disaster prevention processes. They would also expect support to the collaborative risk management, where communities are actually participating in the risk management processes. Following point, to facilitate OpenStreetMap dissemination in social projects. So not only the topic of disaster prevention, but the very large and wide social impact ecosystem in the region. Also to expand and increase the OpenStreetMap community. This is more classic. The data quality, this is also a very strong point in LatAm, to improve the data quality and the skills of the contributors in terms of editing OpenStreetMap, but with this accent on data quality. And the last point, to generate training spaces for the community, social actors. So it includes the NGOs, the academia, organizations in general. So this is a team, the current team. I'm here, Céline Jacquin. We have Marina in Brazil, Tim in Peru, and now he's based in Argentina. Jorge in Guatemala. Carla is based in Brazil. Ruben is in Spain. Ruben is a part of the team, but he's also and mainly guiding the creation process of the hub and doing the bridge with the global team. Everton in Brazil and Juan in Peru. We also have, I think she's connected, Maya Lobo. She's a contractor, but she's part of the team too, in Mexico and working on Central America. We also have another contractor working from Nicaragua in one of the projects I will show just after that. So in this map, I show the countries where we have current projects so far. So Mexico, a large part of Central America, except Honduras and Belize. Different countries in the Caribbean, Jamaica, Haiti, Dominican Republic, St. Lucia, Dominica, we have Venezuela, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, Argentina, and Brazil. So in the different countries, what we have done during this year, 2022, is in general to develop, to strengthen, and to test methods to understand the cartographic needs. We want to systematize this understanding of local needs in very different types of communities. We wanted to experiment with all the diversity of actors in the region. So activists, volunteers in general, the youth mappers, local governments, national governments, different level of educational institutions. So from little schools to universities, NGOs, human rights workers, etc., etc. We have also wanted through the projects to support community projects, so not our projects, not wanting to develop what is interesting us, but what communities are interested in developing that also match the hot impact areas, but also sometimes it doesn't match it, but we also support them to understand how to work with the community in general. We have also wanted to strengthen mapping communities and to create all the time links between them. So in order to achieve in the long-term sustainability, we don't want to be always there. We want them to be part of a strong ecosystem. So if another community can help doing some training, we support this community to train another community. This way, the ecosystem is much stronger. And also, we have wanted to learn horizontally and to build technical capacity in the region to increase the quality of OpenStreetMap. So something important I forgot to say there is that everybody there in this team, including myself, maybe except Carla and Ruben because they are part of the global team, but all the rest of the team, we are people from OpenStreetMap community. So it means that the primary team of that created the first process of the hub has wanted to hire people from the community to develop this hub. So I'm an OpenStreetMap user. I have been an OpenStreetMap user for almost 15 years now, and it's the case with very different approaches and specialties of everybody there. Okay. So now I will go quickly to not take too much time through the different projects we have at the moment. So we have the Project Factory, which is a sort of program. We want it to be very big and to be strong and to last a lot in the hub. It's a project where, with a pedagogue, we guide the very different actors to formulate their need and their possible use of maps. So it means that they could create data, or sometimes they already have the data, or they want to use data from another actors. It can be also official data, to create a map to achieve something to have an impact. It can be territorial defense rights. It can be just how to teach geography in primary school. It can be anything. So we help them to formulate. So it's for actors that don't that are not used to use and to create maps at all, but we help them to do so. So they formulate the idea, they formulate the needs, they formulate from the needs the technological needs, and then we help them to acquire these skills, so from other actors from the community or from ourselves, and we accompany them to actually assimilate these skills and to use it in their decision making, planification, and operation. So it has led us to work in Peru mostly, but also in Colombia, in Central America, and now recently in Argentina. So the focus is absolutely regional. Another project is around migration and women in Central America. So it involves Salvador, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, and Mexico. It involves people who are activists and academic people mostly at the moment. So It's a big project which is part of the projects factory, this first project. So the methodology is the same I just explained. Another big project in Brazil is to help a local organization, Canoa de Tolda, to create a methodology to monitor the movement of a river, which caused many flooding in an entire valley. So we help them to acquire materials and also technical skills to solve their problem and to dialogue with the local governments. And also, this is an interesting project because they took the methodology from a project in Tanzania. So it's a replication of a methodology developed in Tanzania. And we want them, and they are already in this process because this project is soon finished, to replicate what they learned in other communities in Brazil and in the region. So for now, they will replicate in 3 communities in Brazil, in the Amazons and in the south of Brazil. We have another project in Guatemala around waste mapping. So it's a collaboration with UNDP, and we are collaborating also with 2 universities to map and also to develop a survey with ODK to understand what is the relation between inhabitants, residents, and the trash, what they do with the trash, what they produce, and their understanding of environment. So it will be an important base for environmental education and circular economy. Another project with a regional focus is to create a community support management model. So it's also developed with somebody from OpenStreetMap community in a process for now of consultation with the wider OpenStreetMap community to understand how should be a community-based process to manage resources, to for scholarships, to travel to open data events, and also grants for to develop different projects. Another project is around mapping public transportation in Mexico. So it's this project retakes different methodologies developed by OpenStreetMap communities in different countries. I know that in Africa there were many projects around that, but also in Latin America. Firstly, in Nicaragua, the most known is in Nicaragua. So we are now guiding different local organizations to replicate these methodologies, to take the best part of these methodologies in a little city in Michoacan, in Mexico. And then we want to empower these local actors to replicate that, so without our accompaniment, in other different places in Mexico and other countries. Another project has been to guide youth mappers to map around vulnerable communities in volcanoes, in seismologic zones in Ecuador, and to link this youth mapper chapter with the Red Cross, the Ecuadorian Red Cross, to understand better what data are needed, and to actually make this very concrete bridge between the creation of data and the actual use of data. And we have over 2 big projects. So it's called Open Cities in Mexico and in Guatemala. So Open Cities, it's an entire methodology. It's a long project. It lasts between 1 year and 1.5 years. And it's an entire cycle of the data. So the main lines of Open Cities project is to create or collate high quality open data with the residents, with the local communities, but for the local government, to actually use it in local plans, in development plans, or in a public policy. So it's absolutely inserted in a public policy dynamic. It also tries to or guarantees that we create technical capacities in the local government and the community around mapping, but it can be also around data management in general, software management, etc. So we have done that in Tulum, in the south of Mexico, with the municipality of Tulum and the different localities in this municipality that are 30 localities, to integrate the local vision in the Atlas risk, the Atlas of risk. And this project is finishing soon. It's finishing in February, and we are already scaling up that at the national level with the Ministry of Land Planning, to help them to teach to the different municipalities in the country how to integrate the community's vision in their local plans. In Guatemala, it's a similar methodology, but it's focused in helping the indigenous communities in the country to plan their actual uses of the forest, and to help them to apply to different resources program to make a sustainable use of the forest. So it's also a long-term project. This is a more little project where we want to monitor the forest loss in Mexico and Central America with different specialist organizations using MapSwipe. So we want that to be a permanent monitoring action with the help of the very big community of users of MapSwipe. I don't know if you know this application, but it's very nice. You look at satellite images and you just identify something that you have to identify. So the project is on forest loss. So you just look at satellite images and check when you see a crop or an urbanization or just a part of the forest that have been destroyed. And it will help the different organizations, also governments, to do the monitoring, to track the pressure of the different zones, etc. And finally, I'm finishing with that. There is no text yet, but we have also projects during this entire year, collaborating with different National Institute of Geography in the region. So for now, it's with Mexico, Costa Rica, Colombia, Dominican Republic, Guatemala, and maybe I'm forgetting some more countries, but the topic of this project is to help them to use actually OpenStreetMap to detect the data that are missing in their own official cartography. So we are developing with them a platform to be able to compare their data in a very visualized way, a very easy way, and maybe to also have, we are defining that right now, to receive notification in different zones where OpenStreetMap has data that the official cartography doesn't have the data. And we want that to be inserted in their official process to update their national cartography. So that's it for me. I will finish here. Thank you, everyone. And if you have any question, I can answer them.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Celine. That was very insightful. So feel free to type in any questions in case you have any, or just unmute yourself and ask. Yeah. Maybe for starters, you mentioned something on data quality. So my question is there any way, how can the interns from the region get involved?
So during this year, we have worked more in the strategy on data quality. So there is a very large strategy at HOT. It's a global strategy to create a learning plan. So we want to teach a lot around data quality. We want to collaborate a lot with youth mappers. And we would like the interns in this internship to collaborate. So it can be during the same internship. And you know, Rebecca, that I have asked the interns to work on the different projects we have during their exercises. But also after the internship, I think we will be trying to have a dialogue with the interns, the ones who are interested in collaborating in specifically Latin America, to see, we would like to hire in a part-time way different interns to work in the long term in validating the different projects we will have all the time in the region. It's something we will start to do next year.
Awesome, awesome. There's one question in the chat. Hello, Celine. Thank you for the presentation. It was very nice to meet you. I would like to know what is the big challenge of mapping in OSM in South America?
Okay, so the very big challenge we have here, and that's why HOT wanted to have a process so co-created with the community, is that there is not so big, but very mature community in LatAm. It means that the OpenStreetMap communities in LatAm is old. We have many old people, users in the region, and it's difficult to collaborate with the community because sometimes they are very close-minded vision of what has to be OpenStreetMap, how the different companies of the ecosystem has to or don't have to collaborate with OpenStreetMap. So it's a very sensitive situation to work with, and we have to manage that with a lot of prudence. I would say it's the main challenge in LatAm. That's why also we wanted to diversify this ecosystem and not working only with OpenStreetMap communities, but also with NGOs and government and many actors that need data. Data are very poor in a lot of countries here, and they don't have a lot of skills. So we are putting a lot of effort also to work with this part of the community, which is a new community some way.
Awesome. Another question. Leading up to the formal establishment of the LatAm Hub, are there at this point challenges on sustained contribution both by remote and local volunteers?
I don't totally understand the question. So about
Mike, are you able to unmute yourself and give more light on this? Mark, sorry.
So independently to the formal establishment of the hub, I understand that your question is the challenges between remote and local contribution. I could take it like that. I'd say that both are very important, and both are very important numerically, I would say, quantitatively. So because we are developing the relationship with many local communities, indigenous community and local government and youth mappers, and youth mappers are very localized. They have a strong interest in working in their localities and their countries. I would say that the local mapping, field mapping is important, is working well, and the remote mapping too. And I would say that after the pandemic, it's easier to work remotely. There are other questions. I don't know if we have time, Rebecca.
We don't have, but maybe let's give in for this other question. Thank you, Celine, for the presentation, for the enlightenment. I just wanted to ask for opportunities you have across a long way with the different projects that you have completed so far.
The opportunities, are mainly, and that was our goal during this year, to expand the network. We wanted this year to understand communities, expand the network, to be able next year's, after the legal registration, to be able to do, to find more resources and to act much more with local actors and to invest much more. So this year we worked with a very reduced budget, but the goal was, yeah, to expand the network. So I think we have done that very well. So each project has allowed to know much more people and to know much more people interested in collaborating with us. I would say it's a bigger opportunity.
There's actually one, I think Mark was clarifying on his question. I was asking if the future may be the interest of volunteers may present as a challenge.
I don't know. I'm positive. I'm optimistic on that. I don't think it's a challenge because we are actually absolutely trying to understand how the volunteer can work and how and what the volunteer need. We don't want actually to exploit people. It's something also we have put a lot of effort during this year to in this part of understanding community, understanding their needs. It's also understanding, in Latin America, we have a very strong poverty. So we know that volunteers are limited in many ways to participate in something like just mapping. If it's not part of their life, if it's not part of their professional development. So it's something we have understood very clearly. I understood that before being part of it because I'm part of the community, and it's something we know very clearly. So I think that we don't have a challenge if we understand what are the limitations. It's a beginning, and we start with solutions to these challenges. So part of it is to find resources, but it's also to understand the time limitation and to match with that in the correct way.
Awesome. I think we.
Yeah, there was another question before, and we just skipped it. I answered it quickly. So she says, Shabani, that she's an urban planner, and she have a question about Open Cities projects. The main objective of Open Cities is to actually create an impact, a clear impact during the same project. So it means that we don't create data for potential uses. We create data that from the design of the project are expected from a local actor, which will transform this data in an impact because they are decision-making actors. So that's the main objective of Open Cities projects. So in Mexico, it's the municipality of Tulum, and it's the National Ministry of Land Planning that are in a real process, in a current process of training municipalities to create better local plans. And in Guatemala is to help the indigenous communities to make projects to find resources. In a way, they will have much more opportunities to actually receive this, to be competitive, you know, and to actually receive the resources. That's the objective.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Celine, for answering all the questions. But I just have one last question for you. I understand you mentioned that you have you're still like training people on OSM. There are not like so many people that know or have the skill on using the data or even creating data in OSM. So I'm wondering, so how are you doing it with the trainings? Who is training the people in the language? Most especially like the language aspect of it. How are you dealing with it?
So in Latin America, people mostly speak Spanish. So we all speak Spanish. I'm French actually, but I'm more Mexican than French. I've lived in Mexico a bigger part of my life. And people in the team are all from Latin America. We have done a big effort to have, sorry, I said everybody speaks Spanish, but no, in Brazil, people don't speak Spanish in general, and they don't speak English. So we deal with Spanish and Portuguese, and we have people with 2 different languages. And for the Caribbean, we also try to hire people that can speak a little of French and that can speak English too. So it has been clear since the beginning that we needed that. It's not an issue. And when we need people to speak an indigenous language, which also happen, we also find a way to have translators or to have somebody from the local community to participate. For example, in the Open Cities project in Guatemala, we are training in Spanish a group of young people from the indigenous community that will be, so they speak Spanish, but they will be able to formalize themselves. Actually, we want them to become a company. We want them to have a professional development in this question of geospatial data, and it's succeeding actually. And so this way we guarantee they can also do the linguistic bridge.
Awesome, thank you so much. I have so many questions. This is the very last one. Huh? Hey, Celine, can you please share with us the methodology and the tool used in the forest loss maintenance project?
So it's very, very simple. The tool is MapSwipe. I'm writing it here, MapSwipe. You can find it in internet, and Rebecca knows it very well. It's something you use in your cell phone, and you just swipe, you just swipe the screens, you see images compared. So you have 2 images, you compare them, and you say, okay, here there is a change. So it's the same space in 2 different moments of the time, and you see the changes in the space. MapSwipes is used for many things. It's super useful, and actually it's nice. It's nice to do these exercises. And what we want to do for this project, because there are many organizations working on that, there is also a global effort called Global Forest Watch. Using machine learning. So machine learning is looking at the forest loss, but machine learning is still very limited. It can't, for example, see the difference between a crop and a forest. A crop has a very, very regular dynamic in the space. You can see the trees planted in a very regular way. So a human can see that, but machine learning can't see that. So what we want to do is not to replicate an effort that are doing many organizations, but complement them. So we are starting to collaborate with them to see where they know that are points of pressure in different parts of the world, but mostly in Latin American for now, in the rainforest, and maybe just around these points of pressure, giving this human eye to actually validate and see a little finer what the machine learning is not able to see. Or for example, in Mexico, we have a very big infrastructure national program making a train in the middle of the rainforest. So the government is destroying the forest for that. And many NGOs are looking at wanting to monitor and also to quantify the amount of forest destroyed by this national infrastructure. So we are helping them to see that in this very, very specific zone. Of course, MapSwipe is used actually primarily for prevention in disaster-prone area. I would say that forest loss is a very new and innovative use of MapSwipe, but MapSwipe has been created with the Red Cross and with Médecins Sans Frontières to actually see destroyed zones, flooded zones, etc. So yeah, absolutely. Have a look at it. It's very nice. That's it, Becky, I think. Maybe.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much, Celine. Celine, is it okay if they can maybe chat with you if they have any other further questions on Slack. Okay.
Of course.
Okay, nice. And then those are the Hub social media platforms. Please feel free to follow them. Again, thank you so much, Celine, for today. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Bye, everyone.
Thanks a lot, and good luck. Cheers with the internship.
Bye.
Congratulations. Bye-bye.